Hi everyone, greetings from National Skills Network. This is Madhuri and today we are going to look at a very interesting development in an important industry sector. That's the automotive sector, and the development I'm talking about, as you all may be aware, that there is a push to use electric vehicles, and also there are incentives to purchase electric vehicles. Now let's look at the other side of the story, which is about manufacturing, servicing and batteries and many other things which are related to this upcoming industry. And to know more about this, today we have with us Mr. Arindam Lahiri, who is the CEO of ASDC. ASDC, as you may be aware, stands for Automotive Skills Development Council. So welcome to this talk.
Thank you.
As I just mentioned, electric vehicle is one of the exciting industry sectors we are exploring from NSN to understand the skilling and training requirements and the capacity building requirements. So today we would like to know more from you about your initiatives, especially in the backdrop of the news that you have a target of skilling about 1 lakh people in the next year or so. How much of it would be electric vehicle segment?
Thank you, Madhuri, for having me here today. And this is a very, I think, in thing today in terms of being talking about electric vehicles, and that is something that we do very regularly now. But while we can talk about it, I think there's a very, very strong and a fast adoption of electric vehicles that's happening on the ground. As you would know that we look at the automotive segment in terms of the various segments of vehicles, starting right from two-wheelers to up to specialized vehicles, special use vehicles, etc. And on the other side, we look at the functional side of it, which is R&D engineering, manufacturing, sales, service, driving, etc. So, so when we talk about skilling requirements for electric vehicle, it has to reflect what is currently happening on the ground in terms of the whole adoption process, because segments which are having more adoption will need more manpower, and functions which need greater manual processes, interventions will need a higher number of people trained in that particular area. So as far as the segments are concerned, you would have known that it is the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers which have got off to a much more flying start.
Yeah.
We are seeing slowly more and more manufacturers coming into this space as far as the four-wheelers are concerned. There have been only a handful of manufacturers who've been offering any choices as far as the four-wheel version is concerned. And in four-wheel, we are also seeing a lot of hybrid electric vehicles that are also coming in, and which is also somewhat a trend in many countries if you look around globally. So these are various areas that we need to look at. As far as the 1 lakh training for the next year is concerned, that's just an overall focus at ASDC. And we're looking at this number largely to be still on the traditional processes. Of course, every traditional process today has an electrification in mind. So all of our training, as far as, let's say, two functions, which is sales and driving, mandatorily all programs have a module around electric vehicles. Because you can't basically be a salesperson only for electric vehicles, or you can't be a driver only for electric vehicles, but you also have to be able to sell or drive an electric vehicle. So we've incorporated those specialized courses. When we look at in terms of service, engineering, manufacturing, we have started training, but they will form a smaller percentage out of those 1 lakh numbers. But overall, this industry is expected to provide job opportunities to a very large number of candidates over the next, I would say, 7 to 8 years. 2030 is one landmark that we are looking at.
Yeah.
And I think we will have a significant number of people trained on electric vehicles by that time.
Yeah, that's really interesting to know, and also the growth prospects of this sector in creating jobs, and also the need for skilling, as you just mentioned. You just gave us the example of how the traditional auto industry and the electric, are parallelly running together, because you mentioned the example of the salesperson or the drivers. So in this case, won't there be a need for upskilling or reskilling? Like, say, for example, somebody has knows about, say, the combustion engine, the traditional engine. Now the electric vehicle uses a rechargeable battery, right? So there will be a change. And when it comes to developing curriculum, QP, NOS, and other things, what are the steps being taken by ASDC to make this transition and also help people upskill so that they can retain the job, they can, or grow in the job?
Yeah, no, very critical, upskilling and reskilling will play a very critical role as far as the electric vehicles are concerned. And in fact, our initial efforts are largely around upskilling rather than fresh skilling, because fresh skilling is, of course, happening where we are engaging with a number of, academic institutions, colleges, polytechnics, where they have sought our help in terms of um, uh, helping them with their curriculum upgradations, plugging in of the qualifications and national occupation standards that we have created, being plugged into a degree diploma kind of a program also. And with the national credit framework now getting in place and under implementation, I think this will become more and more commonplace to be able to integrate skill programs within the regular curricular programs that the colleges or universities have been offering. So that is more on the new fresh skilling side. But on the upskilling side, we're doing a lot of initiatives, especially on the two and three wheeler service mechanics, which are independent service mechanics. We're doing multiple programs in different locations. We had launched already this skill upgradation program in partnership with Castrol, uh, and many other, other industry partners to look at this kind of skill upgradation of the existing manpower. The other place that we are looking at in terms of skill upgradation is largely in terms of drivers for electric buses in the city conditions.
Okay.
So we have already started doing programs around that. And on a wider sense, one of the programs that we are advocating more, and I think is very important across the segments, across the functions, is about EV safety, the high voltage safety, because the moment you are handling an electrical device, which is what an electric vehicle is, you need to be very careful about handling that device and knowing what to do and what not to do. Because you are dealing largely with a high voltage system. And if you are not aware of it, it could be quite fatal. And in case of buses, it could have a multiplication effect because there are passengers being carried, etc., etc. So the buses will necessarily need to have the drivers, conductors, workshop technicians, completely aware of the safety norms. So while in a regular bus, sometimes you will still see a naked wire running around, but that's only an electrical connection to light to provide lighting or maybe some kind of a horn or something.
Yeah.
But here you are driving a motor to run the bus, which is a high voltage scenario.
Yeah.
And a DC current is flowing through. So it could be very fatal.
Yeah, and also it brings me, I was just reminded of this news about two-wheelers getting burnt electric two-wheelers, and there was all these things which were appearing in the news some time back.
This is very common of any new technology coming in, and the country standards not being that stringent, etc. But I think those have been put in place.
Yeah.
The vehicle testing standards that have now come in, for quite some time, you would see that they are quite stringent, and they will take care of all these fire safety issues, etc. But still, you have to be very prepared for these kind of eventualities, because even after so many years, you do hear occasional stories of your cell phone exploding while being charged or getting into a fire situation, etc. At the end of the day, the battery is the same. It's the same lithium ion battery that we are talking about, and therefore that inflammability which is there is not going to go away. Of course, there are a lot of safety things that are being built into the battery management system itself within the vehicles, and safety is a very high priority as far as automobile industry is concerned overall in terms of the product safety. And I think there's a continuous improvement, and I think those will get taken care of. But safety breaches can happen by people not knowing what to do and what not to do. So that education and awareness is important.
Correct. That's where the training and is a very, very important role, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. And one more thing, one observation I have about this sector, the entire ecosystem of automotive training is most of the training is being done by the industry themselves. They have their own training centers, like all the big brands. You think of Mahindra, Maruti, or Hyundai, or any of these. So they have, and their centers, plus you have other training partners, perhaps who are training for different job roles. Now, in case people would want to approach you and start training programs, how can that be possible in this scenario? And what kind of partnerships can we foresee? Let's say, for instance, somebody wants to offer a particular type of training in the electric segment. So how can they seek help from the Sector Skill Council?
So, two things. One is the industry partner. Now, industry partner, the kind of solutions that we work with in industry is very specific and customized from the point of view of that particular industry's requirements and needs, which is very, very specific. Um, but if you are talking about, training institutions, training partners, today, we are equipped to give a complete solution to the training partner, which means that we will be able to give the entire set of lab equipments. If they give us the space, we'll just set up the lab for them. Okay. We train the trainers for them. We give them the curriculum. We give them the content, including digital content, availability, and OJT connects, etc. So it's a full package that we are now looking at. In fact, with many of our new partners who want to set up electric vehicle workshops or even traditional workshops, etc., we now are giving this as a complete turnkey solution for them, because they don't have to run around trying to figure out which equipment to buy and which is a better solution, what is more current technology, etc. Because we understand that they run a training operation, they're not the industry experts. And especially when you are talking about a new area, we've already sorted this out with various multiple vendors and suppliers to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So we've done that experimentation over the past couple of years, and now we have a completely canned solution kind of a thing, where we can tell what kind of a space is required, what kind of a money is required, and how long will it take for them to set up a lab and actually get operating with the training program, because many of these things will happen parallelly, and it will be a complete solution that they will be able to get.
Okay. Okay, so in the same context, I will have to also ask you about higher education segment. Like today, we are talking about industry integrated courses like BWalk and others, and I think there are also courses in the automotive sector which are being offered as a part of this. Perhaps you can give us couple of examples from your academia connect. How have you helped them? Because we often get queries in this area as well. There are people who might want to offer a course which is related to automotive components, manufacturing, servicing, or any of these. Yeah.
Right. No, I think higher education institutions, starting right from the polytechnic level upwards, have various institutions have already been in touch with us, especially on the electric vehicle modules, upgradations, etc. In fact, we've worked very closely with the DGT teams as well to come up with a ITI program on electric vehicle mechanic already, which I believe they will be able to offer from the next session. As far as the academic institutions, higher education institutions are concerned, if they're looking at offering this as a elective within their automobile program, which I think they should at this point in time, because there is a requirement of such people in the market. We can, I mean, they will not have to start from scratch. They can actually connect with us. We can give them the formalized curriculum, the content, the training of the faculty members, as well as setting up of their labs as such, and handing it over to them for they being able to run it for their students. Then once they come on board, we kind of try to see wherever there is a requirement of the industry.
Yeah.
How do I connect them to the industry to say that this is a education institution which already offers this kind of a program, and therefore you could look at their manpower to be hired for the requirements that you have in the industry. Industry typically happens, is more here and now. So they are looking at very immediate solutions. So it will become more a solution once you are there and you've started working on this space. I think there will be adequate requirements all over, which will need people with this kind of a specialized training that can come out of the higher education institute. The regular mechanical automobile anyway is a very limited field that is offered in most institutions.
Yeah.
And wherever they offer, they also offer it in the very traditional technologies with less hands-on. But I think time has come now where higher education institutions have to understand that their students become employable only if they are hands-on. And their faculty also have to be trained to be able to impart that hands-on kind of training.
Yeah, you just mentioned about hands-on, and I can't help thinking about apprenticeships. So
Yeah.
I'm sure ASDC is also doing quite a lot of work in this area. How has been the response from the industry and the academia?
So yes, I think we are currently, I think across all sectors, we are doing the largest number of.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
yeah.
And we should be doing about. I expect that by this March we should be closing with about 1 lakh plus new contracts this financial year itself. Which we will try and see how we can, push it up to maybe 1.5 lakhs next year.
Okay.
But there is a huge increase in apprenticeship in our industry, especially on the manufacturing side. We still have a huge opportunity lying in the dealership side, which is still not picked up as much. But we are trying to work along with the OEMs to ensure that we have apprenticeship models being tried out at the dealership end as well. In coming to electric vehicles, I think electric vehicle technician course that we have has been converted into an apprenticeship program also. And with the help of Tata Motors, and they are the first ones to adopt it in their network. And we are hoping that more and more apprentices will come into this domain as well. We are also doing probably one of the largest degree apprenticeship program on Mechatronics. Already we are close to about 1,000 people that we have enrolled in the last 6 months for this degree apprenticeship program, and we do hope that more areas we'll be able to take up as we go.
Yeah, I think that's much needed, considering the need to promote apprenticeships. And it's very nice to know that ASDC is kind of leading in promoting and, making sure that there is successful adoption of apprenticeship. So besides these points that you just shared with us, is there anything specific that you would wish to convey from our channel?
Yeah, so I think not only at the college level, but we are also looking at the school level interventions, because today I think it is very important for us to understand that students right from grades maybe 6, 7, 8 onward upwards will need to be exposed to various kind of skilling uh, areas, and where they could explore it, and then they can take it forward from there. So we are working very closely with some of the progressive school boards, Delhi Board of Secondary School Education, as well as CBSE, where there is an interest to promote electromechanical production systems for automotive, or automotive servicing as a domain, where we are not necessarily looking at creating them absolutely ready for a job, but exposing them to the skill area, so that eventually they can make a very conscious choice of getting into that automotive domain, and seek further, more rigorous programs as they go forward. I think the National Education Policy 2020 has been a great, enabler of this process. We were always thinking of how to do it, but I think having that framework in place makes our job a little easier. Educators across the country are able to understand what the skill requirements are. And today, more and more people are reaching out to us in terms of collaborations and cooperations. And I just hope that if we can build a very strong supply chain of talent for the industry, the Indian automobile industry has already moved to the third largest in the world. We should progress to become the largest in the world pretty soon.
Definitely, sir. And it's very heartening to know about your initiatives at the school level. Like we say, catching them young is the best thing to do. I think your initiatives will help in sensitizing them, making them aware, and has many more benefits, as you rightly pointed out from the, NEP 2020. Sir, thank you so much for giving your insights and sharing your views today. We would like to be in touch with you and receive regular updates to learn more about the electric vehicles, industry, skilling, and training programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, Madhuri. And I look forward to more interactions in future. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.